The United States military is still the world's most effective and most powerful. Yet despite its prestigious reputation, it's beset by problems. The American Armed Forces are in crisis. Official surveys highlight the twin problems of recruiting and retaining personnel, especially in the Navy, where more than 5% of the posts remained unfilled last year. It's become a leading issue in the presidential race.
I will rebuild the military power of the United States of America. We are going to restore morale in the United States military.
Texas Governor George W. Bush has rallied some of the country's best-known military figures to bolster his case.
The troops know it, and it's time to stop the pretense. It's time to face the reality that we have given our wonderful military force too many missions that we are not prepared to fund them for. We have not invested enough in their current readiness. We have not invested enough in the research and development needed to keep it a first-class force.
Thank you all. Stay up here, General.
Critics see the involvement of former officers like General Colin Powell in this race as breaching the military's long tradition of non-partisanship in politics.
At ease.
But Vice President Al Gore is fighting back and dismissing claims that the Clinton administration squandered the mighty force it inherited. He too says he would boost military spending.
Our military is the strongest and the best in the entire world. If you entrust me with the presidency, I pledge to keep it that way, with whatever it takes.
Sadly, there's no quick fix. The way forward may seem easy from the murky world of politics, but out here at sea, only the problems are crystal clear. The flight deck of the United States aircraft carrier is probably one of the most dangerous places in the world. It's not the kind of environment where you want to be short of staff. Each step in the high-pressure and complicated process of launching and recovering aircraft is fraught with danger.
It might be a chief petty officer that you're short. That can be a critical link in our ability to conduct flight operations or to conduct the mission of the ship, which are, of course, are many. I think essentially what we really are worried about is the endurance of the vessel. What happens not after the first 24 hours, but 48 or 72 hours down the road when these ships are expected to operate continuously.
And there's the snag. Continuous operation calls for strict daily routines. Repetitive chores are very much part of life on board. Being in the Navy is far from glamorous, despite the prestige associated with high-profile action, whether in the Gulf War or elsewhere. And with a booming civilian economy, fewer young men and women are signing up or staying on once they've joined. Conscription ended in 1973. In 1998, for the first time, the Navy fell 7,000 short of its annual recruiting goal. The crisis has taken its toll on board ships, where sailors are working longer hours to make up for the shortfall in numbers. Navy commanders are understandably concerned.
I can only tell you what I've seen in my 20 years in the Navy. It seemed like in the 80s, there was a lot higher recruit coming in. Now, because of that competition, that strong economy that draws some of the better people away, I think we have maybe not as high of a quality.
Petty Officer John Diaz and his colleagues are on the front line of the fight for more staff. They had made an appointment with a prospective recruit, but nobody was home. So they take their message to the street. Better a captive audience than no audience at all. It's a tough job, and today is turning out to be especially tough. Undaunted, the team do their best for the cause. The key to success, they believe, is to stay motivated at all times and at all costs.
You know, you might have to drive 2-3 hours just to get to one spot, and then when you get there, you know, you find out the person wasn't there, then you have to walk around trying to find another person, and then trying to get back to the office, and you find yourself 6-8 hours have gone by, and nothing really got accomplished, so you have to make up for that time maybe later on in the day.
Back at the recruitment center, and it's more of the same. John Diaz and the team were expecting 2 more recruits who had also made appointments to come in and fill in forms. But no one turned up. Refusing to give up, the men tried to make contact once more.
Hello?
Hi, good morning. Is Barbara in? Hi, Barbara. It's John Diaz from the Navy. How you doing? I'm doing great. Hey, I see you spoke to one of our representatives before and set up an appointment. Did you miss that appointment?
Each new recruit is a struggle. Yet the Navy needs more than 55,000 a year.
Not a lot of people know what the SEAL does. I kind of like the idea of that.
To try and reach that target, hundreds more recruiting officers were taken on last year, and spending on advertising nearly doubled from $45 to $70 million. And not just to promote a lifelong career with the force. Nowadays, the Navy even advertises itself as a stepping stone into the more lucrative civilian world. There are also bigger cash bonuses on entry and money for college tuition. And still not enough of those who join decide to stay. The first to leave tend to be those with good technical skills. They know their own worth. This is the ship's nerve center. Here, young men and women are learning skills that would earn them far more in the civilian world. Understandably, many eventually opt out of the military when their contracts are up. These men have learned to install, operate and repair complex computer networks, skills very much in demand out there. For Kevin Talbot and Kevin Bryars, it will be decision time soon. Time to decide whether to renew their contracts or leave the service. The Navy is keen to keep them, but they're likely to go.
I got about a year left. I'm gonna probably get out after that and go into the civilian world.
Money makes the world go around, man. So I have a family, and my best interest in my life here on out is for my family.
The lure of jobs back home, often for less work and more pay, is proving more and more irresistible. For the veterans who train these young sailors, it can be frustrating.
It's very hard to keep them because after they do their 4 or 5 years here on board, they can get out and make 2 or 3 times as much money as they're making with the Navy. So it's very hard to keep them. You just can't entice them to stay. We have a lot of really, really highly technical people that will not stay in the Navy for that very reason. They can get out and make 2 or 3 times as much, even with bonuses. They're not going to stay.
Most recruits are prepared to overlook the drawbacks of life on board, but the routine can become a grind. A galley with a 1-hour queue to be served, and just 15 minutes to sit down and eat. And cramped living quarters where more than 60 men can sleep in the same room, stacked in bunks 3 high, 1 step away from the next 3. Sailors were led to believe that they would be the envy of their friends back home. Yet many find this is not the case. Instead, they're the ones who have fallen behind.
One of the things the recruiters had said to me was, when you go back and you look back at your time that you've been in the military, you'll notice that a lot of the people that you knew and grew up with will still be in your same hometown or same area. And you'll look back and say, wow, you know, look at all the places I've seen. I've been all over in the Middle East or in Europe or in the Far East. And now I look back, having gone back from a recent trip, and I look back and go, whoa, what's going on? I've put in 8 years of service to the military in the United States Navy, and you guys are making double to triple what I'm making in the military, yet you have half the skills.
Raising an all-volunteer force has never been easy, but the difficulties have been mounting as the economy courses along and university draws in more and more young people. For the first time since 1997, however, the armed forces announced that all 4 services had met their recruiting goals for this fiscal year. But it was at a price. The cost per new recruit has risen steadily, from $5,000 to $7,000 and beyond since the end of the Cold War. Whoever wins the presidency will have to stem the tide of departures from the armed forces in order to maintain their readiness to fight and win a war, if or when there is one.